So we're moving into subcommittee number 5 on corrections. And the first item is issue 19, which is a comprehensive arts package to be found on page 22.
Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jonathan Peterson with the Legislative Analyst's Office. Your staff asked us to present the comprehensive arts package that's been proposed by the Senate. First, I'm going to start with the governor's May revision proposal and then go on to the details of the comprehensive arts package. The governor's May revision requests 2 permanent positions and $4 million general fund dollars in 2016-17. And $6 million in 2017-18 and ongoing to expand the Arts and Corrections program to all state prisons. The funding would be included in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation budget and would be provided to the California Arts Council to provide the arts programming in these state prisons. Currently, there is $2 million in ongoing funding for arts and corrections in the CDCR budget, which is currently offered at 19 institutions. The staff recommendation is a comprehensive arts package that approves the governor's proposal. In addition, expands arts programming for an additional $10 million in general fund in the following 3 ways. First, it adds $3 million in ongoing general fund for 35 permanent institution artist facilitator positions at each state prison. These positions would coordinate arts programming at the institution as well as facilitate programs funded through the innovative programming grants and/or long-term offender programs. The second piece of the comprehensive arts package is to provide $6 million in ongoing general fund and 2 permanent positions at the California Arts Council to increase arts programs in underserved communities. Finally, the third piece is to provide $800,000 in ongoing general fund to the California Arts Council to establish a reentry bridging grant program to facilitate and expand arts programs designed to help inmates transition from prison back to their community. The staff recommendation is to approve the May revision request from the governor, as well as augment that funding by the $10 million for the comprehensive arts package. Thank you.
Mr. Peterson, for walking us through all of that. I wanted to ask you a few questions, not about the augmentation of $10 million for arts in corrections, but about the governor's May revision and where we've come from. So going back close to 15 years, just prior to my arrival here in 2003, I think we were appropriating upwards of $30 million annually from the general fund to the California Arts Council for grants to provide arts education and performances at the community level. That got cut back significantly. I think we were as low as $1 million for a while there. So then a couple years ago, with much thanks to the leadership of Senator Nielsen, we added $5 million, which the governor had not put into his budget, but kept in the budget when we passed it. I think that was probably 14-15. So then when we came to January 15-16, the governor did include that $5 million, and then we augmented that additionally. Was it $2 million? Was that you have the information?
$7 million total. That's
$7 million total. So you put in, the governor put in 5. We augmented it by 2. That was 7, and that was in the current year.
Yes, 15-16.
Right. And so now for the budget year, Ms. Costa, where are you relative to that 7?
So Amy Jarvis with Department of Finance. So since the total Arts Council budget in the current year is actually the $8 million, so it was the existing 1 plus the 7, and then our proposal added another $4 million, specifically for the Arts and Corrections program in 16-17 for a total of $12 million, and then growing to $14 million by 17-18 because our proposal grows to $6 million for the corrections program.
And just to again get greater clarity around all this, so then the Senate proposal is 10 on top of that.
Correct. So then it would be a total of 24.
I think we can all sit up with some pride. This is very good news.
Math I can do.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Senator Nielsen.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you know, we've worked together for a number of years, and for a number of years we really didn't get anywhere except a base funding. And it's pretty exciting where we've been able to come today, and I'd like to move this proposal. We've worked long and hard on it, and frankly, some of the expansion is an area that's dear to my heart, and I think to yours too. Arts and correction is something that I believe in. And I've seen it up front and personal, I mean in the institution, the value of that. And we've also talked about expanding that and transition into the community. It does have its merit, it does have its value. The Arts Council is never going to get back to the heydays when I think their budget was around $40 million. But during the lean times, the Arts Council was very creative through the arts license plate and the checkoff and other means to continue their arts programs. But this gets them back to a good, strong base and gets some expansion in areas that I think are critical. So I would like to move the recommendation of this package.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. I think we should take note of Senator Hancock's leadership, among others.
Particularly in the corrections area, right. Senator Hancock's been very helpful.
Very much with regard to the benefit on so many levels of providing arts education to those who are incarcerated, not only impacting their behavior while they're incarcerated, but also coming to better understand the life forces that brought them into the prison system, thereby helping them as they make reentry into our communities. So it's fascinating to watch the success of these programs, and you've really put a focus on that, so I wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Senator Leno. I would actually like to thank the governors for recognizing the importance of this and adding the initial additional money this year, and honestly, the Arts Council for stepping up to the plate and really showing us how you get big change in an institution and in individual lives with a very small amount of money, relatively speaking. I'd also like to recognize CDCR. They came up with the idea a couple of years ago of doing an MOU with the Arts Council, and that turned out to be an excellent idea, and I think maybe is something that we can model as we move forward with other kinds of innovative organizations. So, yeah, I hope that we can pass it today and move it forward.
Thank you, Senator Hancock, for your comments. I hope everyone here has received from the California Arts Council their distribution lists of all the grants that have gone to each of our districts. No district is left out. And as you say, Senator Hancock, for relatively small amounts of money, great change occurs in our own districts through the work of the California Arts Council.
Right, and if I could just add, the Arts Council has over the years done a number of yes, has done a number of evaluations showing how you get safer prisons and change lives by having programs like this.
Senator Morlock, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I want to be a downer again here. I was last week sat with Senator Pan for a couple of hours with the Public Employment and Retirement Committee and listened to nurses from the prisons lamenting their conditions. I even missed the jumping frog event to sit next to Senator Pan. But it was not one of those informational sessions that was a lot of fun. It was just got to hear a lot of complaints about being staffed 52% and low morale and all this and that. So I sit here and I go, well, this is a great idea. How do you complain about this? But when you stack it up to the meeting I had last week, I sit and I ponder what would the nurses say if they're busy asking for help, they're just pleading for help, and now we have money for artwork. And so, Mr. Chair, I'm struggling with that side by side, 1 week to the next experience, and so it's all about optics and perception, and so I hope we're doing something for the nurses if we're doing something for the inmates. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. We won't call you Debbie Downer. Senator Allen.
Well, I think part of why it ends up being a worthwhile expenditure is because of the extent to which the arts changes the culture within the prison context. And I just really invite you to go out and see some of these extraordinary programs that are happening and what it does to help change the vibe in some of these prisons, and actually ends up kind of helping all of the people who work really hard to keep everybody safe and healthy. And so I see some of the arts council folks here, and I think we got a potential convert here in Senator Morlock. I'll just say, I obviously want to reiterate the comments of the Vice Chair and Senator Hancock. The Arts Council does an extraordinary amount with very little. Ultimately, we're so far behind the national average in per capita arts spending, and it's really extraordinary if you look at what an important role the arts play in helping to drive our economy. I serve as chair of the Joint Committee on the Arts, and we had a hearing recently on the creative economy and the extent to which the arts have become such an important driver for so much of our quality of life and also our economic growth and prosperity in the state. And so I applaud them and hope that we can continue an upward trajectory in funding for the council.
Thank you, Senator Allen. Thank you for reminding me of per capita how far we had fallen. So we were going back to 2001, 2002 at about $1 per capita. We fell to 3 cents per capita, 3 cents. We ranked 50 out of 50 states. I shared with Mr. Watson, we ranked 51 out of 50 states because Guam was ahead of us. And with this proposal, we'll climb all the way to 75 cents per capita. New York is $5. Minnesota is something like $4.50, or I may have the two states reversed. So we have a long ways to go before we are in any way profitably spending on the arts. Senator Pan and Senator Bell.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank Senator Morlock for spending the time. I know we both missed the frog jumping contest, but we were doing the work of the people, so I appreciate that. I guess just a brief comment that certainly I think the issue we were hearing in the PERS committee, and we often have to make different decisions about budgetary priorities, but I think in that particular case, I appreciate you bringing that up, had to do more with policies that we were actually spending money on. This goes back to when we look at the budget, what's the alternative? It's not zero, it's actually a different situation. And so we were looking at a situation where actually the state wasn't really saving that much money. In fact, it was probably, if they changed the policy, they could have gotten a better outcome for the same amount of money or a very similar amount of money. So I think that this will certainly help improve conditions in the prisons, and appreciate that this is proposals in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pan. Senator Bell.
Not to belabor the point too much, but speaking directly to Senator Morlock, one of the things that I learned as a county supervisor working in our children's shelter is that our arts program that we installed in the children's shelter really helped from a therapeutic standpoint for the children, and it actually helped in terms of controlling the children in terms of their tendency to become disorderly and so forth. And I think that the behavioral studies that have been done for our incarceration is that you know that there's 4 levels of general incarceration in our state prison system: level 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the level 3 and 4 for more of the violent, behaviorally challenged offenders. And if we can just understand that the swing between the cost of those is $40,000, $50,000 per year per inmate, lowering the cost by having these kinds of therapeutic programs, at least it would help save us money. And actually, the nurses would appreciate that. If you wanted to say, what would they say? They probably would say, yeah, we want to have these kind of programs that help us calm them down and have less of a need for restraints and so forth. So that's when there's studies that we've gotten that show that, okay? A lot of studies that we've gotten that show that. So the other point would be that these programs generate a lot of volunteers. There's a lot of people that volunteers at these programs. And there's willing community people that will put their time and energy into these programs in our state. So that's another benefit, the cost of the value of having a volunteer work in our facilities. And I've been to like about 20 facilities in the state so far, and just about everywhere I go when we talk about the value of education and these kinds of programs, it does create the right kind of environment that we want to have in our facilities to lower the cost and to reduce the behavioral problems. And I'll just refer you to Senator Pavley and her work with 13-year-olds when she was a school teacher.
29 years.
She will tell you all about and Holly Mitchell with her work with children, just behaviorally challenged children and adults really need something to do that would calm them down. And I think this is what the purpose of this program would be for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bell. So we have a motion. I think we have a motion. Yeah.
Senator Leno?
Yes, Senator Anderson. And then we're going to take some public comment. Then we're going to take a vote and get to our last issue. Senator Anderson.
Well, I wanted to address a few things. You know, this money isn't designed to be decorations for the cells. We're not going to be putting Rembrandts up inside the cells. What we're really focused on is the therapy aspect of it. And the, you know, this is a path for people that wish to be redeemed. They're trying to change the course of bad decisions in their life, and it gives them an opportunity to learn and explore that aspect of their brain that allows them to make positive decisions as they move forward. So we really need to look at the redeeming factor of what it allows people who wish to change not to return to those very same cells. And I think that when you look at the cost, I think you have to take in consideration the cost to society and the people that are serving in those prisons who, if given the right path and taught the right way to think about life, would make better choices and not return there. And you can also look at when the cost of what it cost us to actually reach out and touch their lives. So we're not just saving money because these folks aren't returning to the prisons, but we're also saving them as people. And I think that when you're looking at this, I think that that savings, I wrote a couple little notes to myself to make sure I hit all the points I wanted to go through, but that savings leads to more taxpayers. When they return to society, they eventually get jobs, they become hardworking citizens that pay taxes like everybody else in this room. So they become a positive cash flow in society as opposed to a negative cash flow. We have fewer needs for those very same cells if we have fewer occupants of those cells. So we're saving money. So not only are we gaining money on one side of the ledger, but we're saving money on the other side of the legislature. And that's where we get to the punchline. That will allow us to use those same tax base that we have currently, not on people in prisons, but for those nurses and for the other priorities that we have. And I think that this is a win-win that I've supported from day one. And I was a slow convert, and I want to thank my chair for spending the last 4 years or 6 years with me working through these issues. And so for those reasons, I'll be supporting it today.
Thank you, Senator Anderson. Public comment, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Jason Schmelzer here on behalf of California Arts Advocates. I'm really happy to be standing here listening to what I'm listening to, which is basically the members on the dais taking all of my talking points. I will add just one more to that, which is there's a business element here too. Whether you're looking at biotech companies, aerospace companies, they're not just looking for people with advanced degrees or degrees, they're looking for people with arts backgrounds because it speaks well to collaboration and a bunch of other factors that frankly indicate an ability to succeed in a workplace. So we're happy to be here, happy to support the staff recommendation, and really happy to be hearing what I'm hearing from the dais. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schmelzer.
Hi, I'm Lori Brooks from the William James Association, the Prison Arts Project, and I just, my butt's a little sore from sitting here all day, but my heart is so swelled from hearing your comments just now. I really feel like I have nothing else to add. I just really want to thank your leadership, Chair Leno and Senator Nielsen and Senator Allen and Senator Hancock for your leadership on the arts, and for Senator Hancock for your leadership on transforming the California Department of Corrections from one of retribution to actually embodying the California Department of Corrections and rehabilitation. And I just want to say one thing about a nuance of what this is for, which is for the arts facilitators. And that's really the really value of this model, that was the success of this program over its first 20, 30 years, was that there was somebody on the inside who was an actual artist and who was part of the administration and that helped to really support these artists that are coming in from the outside to interface very effectively within the prison system. And it's a really, really critical piece to the greatest success of this program. And I could go on and on and on, but I just really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
I'm Helen Roth Dowden from SEIU Local 1000. So I want to address Senator Morlock. The nurses and the teachers who are in the prisons all support this. 50% of our teachers were laid off, including the arts facilitators who used to be in all of the prisons. They're musicians, and they brought in their friends who jammed with the prisoners. They were artists who taught people how to do silk screening and graphic arts. They were people who created a sense of peace and a safe place where gangs, all different gang members could get together and jam and create music. So they do those kinds of things in the prisons. They create a different atmosphere. One of our members actually went to work as a canteen manager when all the layoffs occurred so he could continue his work in the prison. Those are the kinds of things that we want to continue to inspire, that will keep people working in the prisons so there isn't a big turnover, and we hope will create the kind of environment where the people who go through those programs don't come back again to our prisons. And for that, we want to thank Senator Hancock, for the staff, Senator Leno, Senator Nielsen, Senator Anderson, all of the people, Senator Allen, who've made and are looking at this and are making this great move possible. Thank you very much on behalf of all the workers who SEIU represents in the state prisons.
All right. Thank you for our public comment. Thank you, colleagues, for all of your support as well. We've said our thanks. We have a motion by Senator Nielsen. Call the roll, please.
Leno?
Aye.
Nielsen? Allen? Anderson? Bell? Block? Glazer? Hancock? Mitchell? Monning? Morlock? Wynn? Pan? Pavley? Roth? Stone? Wolk?
The vote is 13-1. The motion passes. Colleagues,